This video isn't necessarily about him, but it's about how I was let down by the police. After the attack, I was so ashamed and embarrassed, I didn't want anyone to know. I told my attacker that I'd forgiven him and he didn't have anything to worry about. But when I tried to break up with him and remove him from the rest of the productions, he decided to go on the Jeremy Kyle show, fabricate a lie to try and discredit me as a person and make me out to be the bad person. They call it victim shaming. My rapist managed to turn all my friends against me. He got back with his ex-girlfriend and basically started to play the family man. My attacker was very, very clever in manipulating people until he got onto the Jeremy Kyle show, where he failed 3 lie detectors. He didn't just lie to me, but he lied to his whole family and everybody that we knew mutually. But yet still there were people out there that just wanted an excuse to hate me and continue to call me a liar still to this day. When I went into the police station and tried to tell them about him harassing me online and what had actually happened in that room that night, they made me feel like I was the bad person. They made me feel like it was my fault. I finally met a police officer, CID, called Linda Stearman, who seemed to believe me. I had to wait 9 weeks to do my initial interview. I had to wait another 5 weeks for them to actually find Stacey and question him. And when they did question him, apparently he sat there and said nothing. He didn't even say no comment. Linda Stearman told me that the investigation had gone to the CPS and that we were waiting on a decision as to if it would go to court. I waited 9 months for this, to then be told that the CPS had turned it down. A year on from the rape, I was so angry that I wrote for a review to the CPS, to then be told that my case had never been forwarded. I went back into the police station and spoke to a review sergeant who told me that he hadn't actually looked through my file, but yet he had made the decision to still let Stacey go. His excuses was that it had gone on national television, the fact that I used to be an ex-stripper and glamour model, and that basically I wouldn't stand a hope in hell's chance. Yet I've managed to convince a nation with all the evidence and text messages that he actually said the day after himself, and still this wasn't enough.
Point of view, what would we do if, say for example, we charged him and he went to court and he said it was consensual?
I can prove it's not consensual.
Okay.
Do you think I would consent to having a lump and a bruise on my face this size the next day?
But looks not right to you and tell you what I'm going to do. Okay?
I just think it's crazy that you've made the decision on the review yourself. Yeah, you made that decision, the second review on this, and yet you're telling me you haven't seen one of the most major text messages that proves that he ejaculated inside me. That is absolutely barbaric. It's absolutely outrageous how this woman has been allowed to tamper with this, put it all in a drawer, hide it till last minute, lie about everything, and now you have actually made a decision and let this guy go, and you haven't even seen the messages. I am shocked.
What are you saying? Are you saying that a particular message has been removed from the file?
I think so, yeah. I think
or
a lot
of stuff. Are you saying I haven't read it properly?
I think it's been removed.
Right.
I honestly believe Linda Stearman has done something to this case to
Samantha, stop, okay? In that respect then, let me go back and review the file again, because if that message is there, that's my error and not hers, okay? Like I said to you, I haven't had a chance to go through every single line of every page in that file, so it's not my job.
But if you're making that sort of errors, do you think you should be working on review cases?
Why is it an error?
You just said it was your error. If the text messages isn't in that file, sorry, if it is in that file and you've missed it, you just said the message about him ejaculating me. You said if that text messages is in that file, then that's going to be your error. You've missed it. It's been removed.
Right.
I honestly believe Linda Stearman has done something to this case to
Samantha, stop. Okay. In that respect, then, let me go back and review the file again, because if that message is there, that's my error and not hers. Okay.
Should you be making the decisions on rate reviews if you're missing such evidence like that?
There are so many women being attacked and so many rapists getting away with it because of the police. I don't even blame the CPS on this one, because it was the police that lied to me. The police fooled me into thinking that they were there to help me. When I first went to the police, I told them that I didn't want to prosecute against a rape. I didn't want the backlash that it was going to come with it, and I didn't want to ruin the project that we were working on. The police told me that there was nothing they could do unless I actually made a formal complaint. So I was left with no choice, due to the harassment that my rapist was doing online with his friends, to make a formal complaint of rape. 2 years and 2 months on, my attacker and his friends are still constantly harassing me, and because the police didn't support me, people still think that I'm a liar. So in this video I'm sharing the recorder of what the police said. You can hear the way they treated me, and you can see the evidence, and you can see Stacey, my attacker, for himself. I'm absolutely disgusted with Milton Keynes Police Station for allowing a rapist to walk the streets. I could understand if there was no evidence, but there is. There was also a witness that banged on the door that night. The police never tried to find that witness. It was 3 o'clock in the morning, so I'm sure it was a member of staff, but yet there was no investigation. So many women are being let down by the police. And in turn, that means predators are walking around our children. Some people tell me to forget about it and move on and stop talking about it. I still suffer with nightmares. And things can just trigger. I have days where I don't want to leave the house. And yet he's still out there trying to convince people that I made it all up. It's taken me 2 years to get rid of the weakness, and now I'm just left with anger. If the police had done their job properly, I would have had my day in court. But they couldn't even give me that, because of my choice of past job. Apparently you can't rape an ex-stripper or glamour model. Because my Facebook has pictures of me in sexy outfits, the courts would annihilate me. This is the police's opinion on rape victims.
I'm not saying you weren't raped. I'm not saying you've not told the truth. I'm saying as a rape prosecution, there isn't sufficient evidence to prosecute. That's very different to what you're saying I'm saying. What you're implying is that we don't believe you. That's not the case.
As you heard there, I don't think it's that the police are incompetent. I believe that the police are corrupt. I believe they pick and choose who they help and decide what cases go to the CPS, which it's not actually the police's job to decide whether a case gets to go to the CPS. It's the police's job to collect the evidence. I had text messages from my rapist the next morning apologising for what he'd done to me, and nobody has made him explain what it was that he did to me. I have tried to tell people what it is, and for some reason certain people have decided to back my rapist, and I think the reason for that is because he was connected to Dave Courtney and Dave Courtney's boys. So at the time it was easier to play the role of gangster, but I've done everything I can to keep telling my story. I think if I can't forget it, then they shouldn't be allowed to. And the fact that people are actually online openly supporting rape and violence and admitting to being a part of this gang, well, it says it all really. There's not much left to prove. All I know is that we're living in an England where innocent men like Tommy Robinson are locked up for 18 months in solitary for outing the truth. And then you have people like my rapist and his friends walking the streets. All I can say is I'm so happy that the firm fella are dispersing. At the end of the day, it was that group using all the other platforms that were enticing the other people, the flying monkeys, to get involved. I think a lot of the flying monkeys haven't actually realised how serious it was up until now. And I think my abusers are being left with not many flying monkeys to do much, but you still get the odd weirdo now and again. So yeah, I hope this helps, guys. It is a shame that the police couldn't pull their finger out their asses, but I don't take it personally anymore. I've seen it happen to so many people over the last couple of years. I think Starmer is a big problem, but that's another story for another channel.